Right, today this is the first episode of Engaging Conversations. I'm sat here with a long lost friend of mine, Mr. Phil Ridgwell, Director of Core Atlantic, Core Group.
Yes.
Wow.
CEO.
Talk to me.
Yeah,
where are we?
We've come a long way since we last spoke. We've just recently reformed and restructured the business in light of economic crisis we find ourselves in.
Crazy times.
But pre that, we decided to form a group. We have a number of different brands in that group that range from utilities businesses right through to academies and sports and sort of a few things in between. So we thought it'd be best to form a group and manage it under a group structure, which is, we're just about there, launched a website 2 weeks ago, I think.
2 weeks.
Very quiet. Yeah. So it's been interesting, but we find ourselves in a bit of a tough time at the moment. I think everyone's struggling.
Yeah.
Well, all but Dettol and people like that, I think they're doing all right. But.
Yeah, anyone in hygiene and healthcare is happy at this time. Right, one of the main reasons we're having this conversation is basically, the world's going a bit crazy at the moment. There's things that happened in America with George Floyd and this, that, and the other. There's rioting going on around the world. So I wanted to celebrate people that give people a chance, like myself. I'm a black individual, I'm 29 years old. It's a tough industry for us. There's certain things that we don't get and certain things that we do, but it's also good to celebrate the people that do help us. Phil, to the left of me here, was one of the first people to give me an opportunity, to allow me to work on his brand, to be able to showcase what I can do. The relationship is being a little bit topsy-turvy sometimes because people that know me on the other side of this camera, they know that I'm a little bit hot-headed sometimes, and I say what I mean, I get it off my chest, and sometimes in a business setting, it's not always the right way to do, is it? But I've had to learn. I've had to learn because, this is why people say, oh, you can't get a corporate job, or you can't do this and that, but you have to be professional, people. That's the main thing. So this is why we're here today, and this is the man that gave me one of the opportunities, and he's given me another opportunity today to sit next to me in front of the camera and just have a conversation man to man.
Cool. I think for me, it don't matter race, colour, creed, where you're from. People should be measured on attributes and what they've got to bring to the table. We all bleed the same. There's no difference in my eyes. I like to take people for what they can add value. Yeah. Not to myself, to my business, where we can learn, and that goes both ways. Yeah. It's important if you're gonna have any sort of relationship, whether it be business or personal, they've got to be able to raise you up. Yeah. You don't want to be dragged down by somebody. You don't want to have headache. You don't have problems, and part of a building and forging strong relationships is being able to add benefits and value to each other's lives. Yeah. I've known you since you was a young pup, and I've always been drawn to the way you think, the entrepreneurship you have, your creative side, and your enthusiasm for business. Yeah. Is always, you're always duck and diving and always looking for another angle, and it very much relates to myself. I'm the same, and it's allowed me to take the businesses to where we took them as we are today. I've not always done things the right way. I've not always done things the way I should. But that's life. You have to react to certain circumstances, certain situations you're put in, and it's how you come through them situations that ultimately defines how successful you are in the future. Yeah. But from having you guys on board with us, we've worked on a few different projects. Some have been great, some have not worked. Some things, I think you reacted badly to failure. To some, if someone, you set yourself high standards, which is no bad thing, but taking the criticism when it hasn't worked, I think is important. And how you react to them situations.
And the thing is, it's the difficult thing about this whole situation is, right? And when everything has gone wrong, that's because of the struggles we face on a day-to-day basis. For example, it's difficult for a person like me to walk into a Santander or walk into this place and say, okay, can I have a £2 million credit line for something? Yeah. Even if I'm good for it and they can check everything they do, we don't get those. We don't get those opportunities. They shut the door on us. So when you're in a business and you're trying to start something with no investors, with no seed money, all from scratch, all from yourself, it's so tough when you're on your own. And you just don't have the help that other people get and other opportunities that people get.
But I think that goes across all demographic. you know, where I come from a single parent family,
Yeah.
brought up by my father from a council estate.
Likewise.
No
Shout out to all my people in Sutton, Carshalton.
No money, no opportunity, no money for uni, no money for extra education. It was straight out of work, straight out of school, and into work.
Yeah, because you was an engineer, no?
I was an engineer. Yeah, I was a design engineer. I did an apprenticeship with a company called Tyco.
Big company, Tyco.
They are now. Yeah, it was Wormold when I was there, and while I was there, the acquisition happened to Tyco, but there was no opportunity here. You know, whether you're white, black,
in Wickham or just
in Slough.
Slough.
So you know, I think if you're from a lower class, single parent, whatever
you're
you're
really
coming
struggling,
from,
aren't you?
You're struggling.
You're
On the back foot already. Or if you're coming from a middle upper class family, that have funds for uni, funds to do business, and things like that, you're on the front foot already. So and then it doesn't matter whether you're colour, Indian, Asian, whatever you are, you're going to have the foot up on somebody that's not necessarily had the leg up in life that others has had.
So do you think people are products of their environment? Do you think that's important?
100%. I mean, when I was young, I grew up without my mother at home, so I had to look after myself. There was no mum.
I had to look after myself, you know.
No wiping the nose, no wiping the backside, no doing the washing. It was all you on your own. So you have to learn to develop and adapt to that situation.
It's similar to me because my mum come to this country in 2000 from Zimbabwe in South Africa, right? And it was just me and her. I went to private school in Africa, so I wasn't I was more wealthy in Africa than I am in this country. So it was a very tough thing for me as a 10-year-old coming from another country and having the life that I did there, and then coming to England on a council estate, having gone to boarding school, had this life, and it just flipped on its head for me. It was a culture shock.
I think there's a vast difference between people that have born in this country and been afforded the opportunities from being born in this country to somebody coming over and may not necessarily speak the language, may not necessarily understand the culture or how the environment they find themselves in works. I think there is a difference there, you know, and I think that needs to be recognised. I don't think it is. I don't think it has ever been. I think race and culture, they wrap themselves up in one demographic, you know. Oh, we're black, or we're Indian, you are all black and you are all Indian, but you have very different circumstances in the way you was raised.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, coming from an African country and being in the UK, it's like night and day. You know,
the world flipped upside down for me completely, and my mum was working all the time. So, as a 10-year-old, I used to have to take myself to school. I had a paper round when I was 10. I was supposed to be 13 when you get paper round, but I lied to the man. I said, you know what, I'm 13 years old. Gave me the paper round. I was doing that. Mum was at work, so I used to see my mum one day on a Saturday for 1 hour because she used to go to work, stay over where she was working, and then she'd have an hour lunch break on a Saturday in Wimbledon. So I used to get the 164 from Sutton all the way to Wimbledon on a Saturday, see my mum for an hour on a lunch break, and I'd get the bus with my food shopping for the rest of the week.
Wow.
And then I'll literally be on my own the whole week.
But I think that shape is not great. You know, would I want that for my daughter now?
No.
Of course I wouldn't. You know, but I think looking back, it shapes who you are.
Yeah, definitely.
It gives you certain qualities that I think are lacking in the millennials, if you like.
Yeah.
I think there's
easy come, easy go for them, isn't it?
Yeah, I see it. I've seen it. The people who employ, they feel a bit.
How many staff have you got now?
We're up to 52.
52 staff.
52 office staff.
And you heard the man himself. He says, you know what? Come from a single parent background. He's got 52 staff, if not more.
We're about 600-700 contractors.
There you go. So you can do anything, really, can you?
And I think you can. And it took me a long time to realise that, from being on the estate and being so insular and being in that situation, in that environment. It wasn't until I stepped out of it and started to do some stuff that I realised, and you look back and you think, wow, you actually can do whatever you want to do. You know, that there's no boundaries, there's no speed cameras, there's no anything stopping an individual, if they want to apply themselves, doing whatever they want to do. And that don't matter where you're from, who you are, or what you are. You know, as long as you want to work hard, apply yourself in the right way, and be prepared for a rough ride. You can do
rough ride.
You can do,
But touching on what you just said now about stepping out of that environment and you seeing it. With me, do you know where my lucky charm came? When Adam Coombs signed for Chelsea. Yeah, when Adam Coombs signed for Chelsea, it was, to me, as someone who liked playing football, being at Sutton United, shout out Steve Griffin as well, shout out Jerson, all the Sutton United boys, being there and seeing Adam go to Chelsea, it made me believe that if Adam can do it, then surely, you know, if I apply myself, I might be able to get there.
As a footballer, or just in life in general?
Just in life in general, because I never used to believe, having my life flipped upside down the way it was, I had no confidence in anything. I just thought, this is the worst, this is how life is going to be for the rest of my life. But then seeing Adam leave Sutton to go to Chelsea and see how well he did there before his injuries and stuff was key for me. It was absolutely major. Then I met Jacob Mellis. And luckily enough, Jacob is just me and him, we just clicked. And Jacob, I've been around him for 12, 13 years. Whenever he's been at a club, I've been there. Whenever he's been here, I've been there. Whenever he's been here, I've been there. If I need anything for Jake, I call Mel's right away. Mel's anything sorted. Likewise.
I think football's great at that level. We do a fair bit at the grassroots level ourselves. But the problem that we find ourselves in is there's no backup plan.
Yeah, that's crucial.
You know, like, you want to be a football player, but you've acquired yourself in business and acquitted yourself really well, and you're doing some good stuff. That's your backup plan. You know, it didn't work out in football.
Yeah.
Talented football player, didn't do what you wanted to do in that, but you've had a plan B.
Yeah.
You know, the problem I find with football at that level is they pay the big money. Some of these kids are very talented, but for whatever reason they don't make the grade and they get chopped at 21, 22. Where's the backup plan? You know, they've done no education. All they've done is play football. They've been paid a lot of money to do it, and I've seen it. You know, you've seen it. You know, kids are getting released. Young men are getting released at that level, and you know, where is the backup?
I mean, I have the conversation with the boys all the time. I'm always saying, so what are you going to do? Like, for example, Frank Godley, right? I've said to the boys 100 times, you going to go out on a night out, you're going to spend 5 grand, 6 grand, 7 grand, 10 grand on a night out. Why don't you give me, say, £1,000? Let's go order some hats, we'll sell them, and then we'll split the money at the end of it. The boys just don't have that sense. They'd rather go spend 10k on a night out.
But they're seeing the paycheck come every week. They're not seeing that could stop at any time. They're not seeing they could get injured at any time.
Yeah.
You know, that there's no... And I think it's a fundamental problem with the education side of things. I think there should be a forced situation where they should be made to educate, made to have some sort of degree, MVQ, BTEC,
but
whatever that might be.
The PFA are fantastic at this, by the way, because a lot of people have been slandering the PFA for so many years, but they're actually really, really good. For example, I know Joe Thompson. He had a terrible, terrible time with cancer. He beat it once, then went back again. He had cancer again, beat it twice, and he scored the goal that kept Rochdale up in the league when he came back from his last treatment. And he's worked to the PFA throughout the duration. They were fantastic to him. They've helped him. And, you know, if players are injured, for example, now the PFA will send you to St. George's Park through your club, do your rehab. So there's education within the football industry, but people need to go out and seek it. And as agents or as companies now, I've always said to the boys, like, we need to make sure that you know what you're going to do when you leave. Because, but for some reason, if I tell you something, you might not want to listen to me because, oh, my mate's just going on again, I can't bother to hear him now. But then before you know it, 15 years has gone down the line, your career's finished. Yeah, that's quick. And then now you're picking up pieces.
You think we started Core, it's the second business where we started Core 10 years ago, just 9 years ago. So, you know,
it's grown.
It's just that amount of time, 10 years, a decade, it just whips by at the rate of knots. And, you know, 1 minute you're here, next minute you're there. So that period of time in anyone's life is a very, very short period of time. You live 80 years, you know, you've got all them other years to consider, you know. It's what do you think of the football at the moment? How do you think, obviously being back in the Premier League last night, what did
it was great. I had a few beers yesterday, to be fair. Not too many, just a few. But yeah, it was good to watch. It was just odd because it's just quiet. There's no fans. So it was a little bit surreal. It was good to actually see the players back out there. And I know that we have to finish the league for whatever, because, you know, financial reasons. But today it's the playoffs. And we've got a player who's playing in the playoffs today versus Northampton Town. And if you think about him, for example, you say how fast things happen. John T. Smith was playing non-league this time last year, maybe? Probably like 14 months ago, he was playing for Lewis near Brighton.
Yeah, I know it well.
Took him Oxford United within 6 months. Then he's gone to Cheltenham Town, and he's been absolutely fantastic over there. But 14 months ago, 12 months ago, he was playing in non-league.
It's a fickle sport, football. It's
just like that,
and it can change. You know,
Yeah.
you see players. I think we took, who was that kid we took from to Bolton, and
What, Mads Fell?
yeah,
Was it Mads Fell? You did
Yeah,
Mads?
yeah.
It's a good deal, that one.
nice. But there's so much talent at that
Yeah.
non-league level. You know, your Maidenhead Uniteds. Great. There's a great kid down. I can't think of his name. A great kid down there at the minute, looking to do. I think he's just got a deal actually in the league. But so much talent at grassroots level.
Yeah.
If they fall away, and again it comes back to they're trying to chase their dreams. What is their backup plan? You know, I think there's a big education piece across football that can happen to educate these young people of what, you know, and ensuring that they've got something to fall back on after, and something to do after football. You know, making sure that's mandatory across the.
But the thing is, it's not just sport as a nutshell. I think we're touching on sport because it's a neutral ground. Because I mean, going back to what I was saying earlier about opportunities and this, that, and the other, I don't agree necessarily with people saying that, oh, you know, I'm this and I'm that, I don't have an opportunity. But what I do understand that I've experienced myself is that we don't get open. The door doesn't open for us unless we kick it down.
I think there is. I mean, to sit here and say is racism don't exist would be just ludicrous. I mean, it does. We know it does. But I think there's a fine line between racism and discrimination.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Fair point.
I think if you let's take it right back. If I was a chubby kid at school, I was the little fat kid. Mm-hmm. I was the little white poor kid, the fat kid who got picked last to go on the football team. Now that's discrimination. You know, taking it right. It's funny.
Yeah, but who's winning today?
But that's what exactly that. This is my point. So you can either. I think there's a lot of negativity around what's gone on recently, and people want to rather look at the negative side rather than celebrate
the good stuff.
Like I said, like AJ come out and made that speech.
And then people flipped it on his head and they said that he's this and he's that.
But I don't think what he said was necessarily wrong, but what he could have said, you know, look at me, I'm from the streets. Yeah. I was a badass, mucking around, doing all sorts, getting kicked off the Olympic squad, getting put back on, going to court, in trouble with the police. But look at me now. Yeah. I'm a shining light. Boxing's allowed me to travel around the world. You know, he inspired me, you know.
Like, I'll be deadly serious. I looked at Anthony Joshua's documentary. Yeah. The old one, because there's a couple that they've made since. And I just remember sitting in my mum's house. I never forget it. I remember watching that documentary. I just came back. I was working on the building site for somebody. Do you remember?
Yeah, Tyler.
Yeah. And I came back and I watched it. And I was like, if AJ can actually turn his life around like that and be a boxer, what can I do?
But he should have put himself out there as the shining light. Yeah. But I don't. What he said wasn't wholly negative, but he could have said so much stronger, powerful stuff to inspire the younger generation to look at me. I'm the shining light. Boxing's allowed me to travel around the world, gold medals, Olympic Games. Look at me now, the vast wealth.
But it's difficult for him because you know why it is? Because if he says too much, the sponsors are dropping him. Links will go away. Yeah, Under Armour will go away.
I am surprised that didn't happen.
Exactly.
To be honest, because it was quite controversial in what he said, but it was portrayed in the media to be something it wasn't in my eyes. But I just felt being the positive role model that he is and what he has achieved in such a short space of time in his life, he really is the beacon of light for a community. 100%. You know that, and that should have been celebrated rather than what went on. You know, because there was media there to shoot anyone down, any young people, any people within sport, business or entertainment, foot wrong, and they're chopping you. You know, you're out. So he opened the door to allow that. You know, and I don't think he should have done that. I think he should have come out and spoke from the heart about what he's actually achieved and the difficulties he's had in his life and how he's overcome them. And look at me, a young black man, multi-100 million pounds in the bank, fighting for £50 million a time, travelled around the world and continues to do so. this business, that business, managing young fighters, looking after people. He could have said so much more positive.
But this is the thing. This is why I wanted to do this podcast in the first place, anyway, because it's like, with my situation, I'm going to refer it back to myself because we're having a conversation, right? I feel like I should be celebrated. Do you know why? Because I've overachieved. I haven't underachieved. I've overachieved with the cards that I was dealt. And the opportunities,
I agree with that.
The opportunities that I got given, right? I didn't take them because I didn't know any better.
But let me ask you this question: Who do you want to celebrate you?
The culture. I want everybody around me, all of the people that know me as a person, to say, that kid has gone out and stuck his back out to provide opportunities for others.
I agree.
Because I could have had one of those on my wrist.
Yeah.
I could have had Rolls Royces outside, but I put my money in my pocket and I've given it back to the streets. I've given it back to the community and I've given it to umpteen amount of opportunities. Cameras that you see here, it's all coming from hard work and grit and determination, and we're giving opportunities back. Whereas other people would get a £10 million contract for something, disappear, never be seen ever again.
Well, I just think the minute you, as a person, and from like for talking about myself, but for the minute you stop trying to impress people, is the minute you truly are free.
Yeah.
I do what I do for me and
yourself,
my family. I provide people with jobs. I provide people with opportunity. Don't matter.
I'm one of those.
It don't matter who you are. If you're good at what you do, you want to work hard, then I'm all ears.
Yeah.
That's my motto. I like people that have got drive and grit and determination, and want something better.
Yeah. Okay, so see this whole Instagram culture now, right? Where if you post up, you drive in, let's say a BMW or a Range Rover or whatever, right? You're gonna get people that are gonna like your post because they're inspired by you. Drop your message on Instagram saying, keep doing what you're doing because you're a beacon of light, like we're saying about AJ. Then you're gonna get the ones that are gonna go and screenshot it, DM somebody else and say, this person is this, and they think they're that, and they think they're this. And it's that hating culture. And when you know yourself, I don't want to impress nobody because I don't care. Like, I came to this world pretty much, like I said at the beginning of this, like me and my mum came here, nothing, with a bin liner, that's it.
But that's where
I've got nothing. I don't need to impress anyone.
Nothing to prove. You've got no one to impress. So you just need. You've got to have your goals, your aims, and what you want to achieve in yourself, and your targets. They're your targets. They're not mine. They're not John up the road. They're not Steve's. They're yours.
Yeah.
You've got to want to do better for yourself, which you have. But you have nothing to prove to anybody.
No.
You've got. You don't have to be. I don't think it's shining light, but you've got to do what you want to do for you and yours, and it's great that you're being able to afford opportunity to other people. That's fantastic. I mean, but that gets you some tokens when you get up there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. But then the problem is, it's like, I'll put it this way, right? I mind my own business. Yeah. Sitting in the countryside in Cheshire, feet up, minding my own business. And then something like whatever happened to George Floyd was unprecedented and it was terrible. But then I've got 100 messages in my inbox telling me that you need to go do something, Zib, because people listen to you. And then I'm like, okay. And then I start doing the work that people are telling me to do. And then
I think there's a responsibility for everybody to do better. Everybody to be less discriminative. Everybody to try harder to be better people.
Yeah.
Don't matter where you're from, what you're doing, be a better person in yourself. Don't conform to what people want you to be. Break that mold. I think what happens in the States is vastly different to what happens
to England.
Way different.
Way different.
I think they're a very young, underdeveloped country still. What are they, 200 years old or something crazy? We have got history, culture, some good, some bad, some indifferent. But I think what's important is not looking there and backwards and trying to
go forward.
Look forward, and if we need to improve and do things better, it's forward, always forward. Looking back and going, wow, we was given a rough ride there, or that weren't right, this weren't right, ripping down statues left, right and centre.
Can't do that though.
It's pointless. What is that going to change?
Which is why we launched the Black Empire collection, because I personally, I'm not going to go and protest and cause a fracas, because people are different. People react to things in different ways. my reaction to that was, okay, what can I do now that's going to improve and put some money in people's pockets that's going to go a lot further than going to tear around a statue of Winston Churchill or whatever, whoever statue got torn down.
You know, both. I mean, you've got the football got a lot going in there, you got or EDL, whatever they are, and you've got the other guys, the Black Lives Matter guys, and it's just pointless. You know, they're fighting in the street, attacking each other, damaging, you know, monuments in the city, looting. You know, what is that? How is anybody going to take that seriously? You know, like that behaviour is not warranted in this modern world. You know, I get protesting. You should. You know, that there's a place for that in this world. Yeah. Peaceful, proper protesting where you want to
make a change.
That's your right. You know, you've got a voice. Everyone's got a voice in this country, in this world. You know, you should be afforded the opportunity to let that out. You know, and as long as it's done in the right way, there's plenty of space for that. You know, people should have that opportunity. But all of the violence, it's unnecessary. You know, and it becomes something else. Yeah. You know, people lose focus of what they actually was there to do. They're too busy cutting each other or fighting or doing some madness up in some shops or some stuff like that. So for me, that's wholly unnecessary. You know, that there's better ways to get your voice heard. And I think people are too much concentrating on what has been and gone. Yeah. You know,
rather than looking forward.
You know, there's been slavery in every culture across the world. Yeah. You know, there's been violence in every culture across the world, but it was 400 years ago. You know. Yes, there's still there is underlying problems in our culture, I believe, that they need to be addressed. But it's about doing that this way. Yeah, you know, going forward with your thoughts.
No, but this is why I come and have an open conversation with you today, and to say, look, you know what, you afforded me opportunities because you were the first people that gave me a chance to do the branding stuff of work, to do that kind of. You were the first people to give me a chance, and I genuinely feel that we did a fantastic job at the beginning. And then circumstances dominoed effect that, and it just became.
I think I can talk a little bit about how. I think I still have some of that even today in me. Like I'll revert back to my old way of thinking. Yeah. Even in this business world, and sometimes like, well, you know, I've still got that guy's still in there.
Still in there, yeah, of course. 100%. You
know, that street kid is still there. Yeah. You know, though it's a little bit more polished these days, and I try. It's a fight. Yeah. To
keep yourself calm.
Yeah.
To keep yourself level.
To give that way. I'm a strong character. I say it like yourself. I say how it is. You know, please or offend sometimes. Yeah. And sometimes I can revert back to that kid,
that mentality, because it helps sometimes. It's there. It helps sometimes.
It does, but it can be very counterproductive, and that's where I see some of your mistakes you've made in the past, where you're young still, with all due respect, and you're learning. You know, and it's about not always making that same mistake. And I've had to learn the same way. There's been no one there to go, oh, you should do this, or you should do that, or maybe try this, or maybe try that. You know, it's just purely falling over. Yeah. You know, picking yourself back up and going again. Yeah, falling 100%. Over. And we was talking only yesterday downstairs and just saying, like, you know, where we are in the group of businesses. Like, 1 minute you're in a fog, you're in a mist, you're thinking, fucking hell, what's going on? Excuse my French.
No, okay.
You know, you can't see the wood from the trees. Yeah. And then next minute you pull your head from the parapet and you go, oh, hold on a minute. This don't look so bad now.
It's not as bad as I thought, yeah.
And then you look back and you go, wow, there's 10 years.
It's gone. It's gone just like that.
And it's flown by, and you're looking forward to what's going to happen next. So, you know, it really is not about getting bogged down with too much crap. It's about understanding where you are as a person and where you want to be. And just bite-sized bits, you know. I think biting off too much, and we've been guilty of this in the past, and trying to do things that are just too big. Yeah. And you just go.
I'm one of those people myself.
You fall flat on your face. And you're getting back up. You think, what the hell? What's gone wrong? Yeah. The lack of education, and understanding, and stuff like that is where some of my biggest business problems have come from. You know, the lack of back office administration type stuff. Like I'm a salesman. You know,
Yeah.
I went to college and I did my apprenticeship, but it was a day release thing, and it just wasn't. I'm not an academic at all. You know, it's not in me. You know, I've never been that way. So all my mistakes have generally been around.
Do you know, funny you say that, right? I'm not an academic, you know, believe it or not. I didn't do well at school at all because I had too many personal problems at home. Me focusing at school was just not the idea that I had. I just didn't have the idea of learning anything in school. But then what happened was someone gave me a book. One of my friends came out of jail and they said they read this book whilst they was in jail and it inspired them so much. So I went and bought the book straight away from Waterstones. I left it there probably 6 months, didn't touch it. Read it one day, it changed my whole mindset.
I think reading's important.
Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, that's the book they gave me. So it just changed my whole mindset, and ever since then I've been addicted to reading. And this is part of the problem. I'll give you an example of something. Let's say if I come into your organization, I'm going to pitch a business to you, for example. Say, okay, cool. This is the project I'm going to do for you guys. This is what we can do. And then you don't pick my work because X, Y, Z discrimination, right? But the person who you're picking hasn't even got 2 cents of the same knowledge that you do, and the product is nowhere near as good as you, and it happens on a consistent basis.
Yeah, I hear that.
So it's difficult for us to then...
I think when the automatic response and the reaction to that situation is, it's because I'm black. Mm-hmm. It might not be. It may not be.
Very true.
It may not
Very
be.
true.
In some cases, it may. Listen, I'm not trying to say there's not racism in culture because that would just be ridiculous, but I just don't always think it's that card.
Yeah.
You know, I don't always think it's that situation.
With me, growing up in Southern Africa, my sister goes crazy at me for saying this because I always say it, I don't see colour like that. I don't see it. But sometimes you also know that I'm the best person for this job. I've got the best price, I've got the best product, and I have sold myself very, very well. But you still don't get that opportunity.
But it's down to opinion, isn't it? That's open to what I like, meat and veg. You might be vegetarian.
Yeah.
You know, that it's so open to opinion. It's, you know, what I think's good, you might think is crap.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You know, so that's where it comes. One person's view could be very vastly different to some, and it will be.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I really like the stuff you create.
Yeah.
I like the way you think. But someone else might go, well, actually, I think he's a bit out there for me.
So why are they asking me to come in a boardroom for a meeting then? Why are they inviting me to pitch?
But you should take that as a compliment.
I do, because I know that I'm good enough to be in that building.
They're doing that off the back of you. Don't matter what this is.
Yeah.
They're doing it off your skill set, off of your abilities,
yeah.
off of your mind, and what they can get from your thing, from your products and your.
We did 13 pitches last year. $7,000 a pitch.
You said about this.
Yep.
Yeah, that's expensive.
Didn't get one job.
And you think that's down to?
No, I to be fair, like it's water off the duck's back, really. For me.
For me, I would want feedback.
I don't get it.
See, I would want to understand. I wouldn't let that lie.
Yeah.
I would say, fair enough, take that. I'll take my L's all day long. I'll take them. I've had plenty. But I would want to understand why that L was occurring. And some people will be honest, and some people will give you lip service.
Do you know? Funny we're having this conversation, right? Do you know how we managed to get John T. Smith a deal to Oxford United? I had to ask an ex-professional player, a white person, to call on my behalf and ask for me. And straight away, just like that, he was in the building. Just like that.
Some of the biggest agents in world football right now.
Click of a finger, just like that.
Are from a black. You know, Sky Andrews.
Yeah,
you
Sky,
know,
yeah.
He's on Sky Sports. You know, I think, like I said, some of the. I was speaking to Josh Parker about this the other day, actually. Some of the, because he was on about the stacking and the controversial side of things. I'm saying to him, I get it, but the highest paid footballers in the world right now are black. Pogba, Yaya Toure, you know, they was on
big money.
You know, the biggest money, the biggest money. And we had a bit of a funny one actually. He said, "Well, name me one central midfielder in the last 50 years, there's been black. So I said Ronaldinho.
He's in jail still now.
Arguably the best.
Is he still in jail, Ronaldinho?
I thought, no, he was on a part. He's out now. He's out. He's
Free
back.
Ronaldinho, by the way. What the earth was he thinking about that?
But like I said, it does, stuff like that does happen, and it is present in our current culture, but not any of it's bad. It should be eradicated. But I don't think it should be allowed to dictate the future.
Yeah. No, but this is why I like to have this conversation. That's why I came to you first of all, because we can sit here, we can be open, we're having a nice little chat about real life topics. And what I want people to learn from this is you don't be your worst enemy, because you can do anything in this world. Like I said, 12 pitches, didn't get one job. I didn't stop. I just carry on going because it's going to come.
The next 12 pitches you do, you may get 12.
It's going to come, it's going to come, it's going to come.
I think concentrate on the successes rather than the failures, and play to them strengths.
Yeah.
But always ask for feedback.
Yeah.
Make that.
No, most definitely. I'm going to start doing more of that.
Because I always want to understand why that L's occurred. Yeah. Because no one likes them, but that's part of life. Maybe
growing up the way that I've grown up, it's like if an L comes, there's no time to think about it. You just have to keep going for the next, and then for the next.
Move on. Like I said, we look back over 15 years I've been in business. We look back and I've had far more losses. Far more losses than I've had wins. It's just making whatever you do win great. So take the L's, move on. Don't let it shape what you think, and don't let it, because allowing them things, they can make you become bitter. All of a sudden you're creeping resentment, and them feelings are just negative. You want to portray, and it comes out in your skin, it comes out in your behaviours, it comes out in the way you speak, and it will come out in your pitch. So you're not that guy. You're positive. So be that positive guy that never done. Let's move on.
Let's move on and crack on.
And let's make them wins. Making sure you're drawing everything out of a situation where you get wins. Because if wins are going to come few and far between, you want to make sure you're getting 120% from that win.
100%.
And making sure that they're special. And that's what shapes you going forward.
But we were ahead of our time now.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
I was ahead of my time.
Mate, even when you was a wee little whippersnapper there.
Ahead of my time.
Some of the things used to come out of are pretty special. So that was the attraction for me. So that was why I liked to work with you. You're a bit out there, really, crazy, and different. And you had a bit of hustle. And I think that's important. And I like that. I like to give that sort of opportunity to people that have got something about them. Might not very, very raw. Very, very raw.
Just need a little bit of polishing.
Just polishing, and that's coming. You every time you come back and see us, you're doing something different, and you're shaping what the future looks like for you.
But I've been consistent though.
You have. You're consistently working hard.
I've been consistent in football. I've been consistent in fashion.
Frank Godley's great.
I've been consistent with digital. Like I've been consistent with all three of my
I've
my
got
babies.
all your hats.
But for some reason, at certain points, they've been super successful, by the way.
But
super successful. I cannot.
If you believe in your hearts of hearts, what you're doing is right. Just carry on.
Which I will.
Always. And that effort and constant treading the floor will manifest into something great. You've done great stuff with the Frank Godley hats. You've got everyone wearing them, myself included. I don't even wear hats. I've got the whole collection. 2 or 3 times over.
Send me a picture of that, of all of them, because I don't. Mate, funny enough, right? Someone sent me a picture the other day from Australia of a Frank Godley hat. It looks box fresh, and I said to them, "How on earth have you still got that?" He said, "Because I like it."
Yeah, I do. I like the hats.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, smart. I don't wear hats. I wear them on holiday, mate. I'm bald, but to keep the.
So for everybody that doesn't wear hats, there's no excuse not to buy a hat.
No, of course not. They look good on the shelf, man. They look good.
No excuse. Goes to a good cause as well.
But like I said, mate, you're doing some fantastic stuff. I think you've come a long way.
Yeah, I'm getting
better. You should be very proud of yourself, and keep on going, mate.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to keep on going. So, guys, thank you very much for tuning in today. Nice and quick. Ever so grateful for this man next to me on my left-hand side. I've let him down a few times, but I've also had a lot of wins for him as well. So it happens, you make a mistake, you bounce back from it, you go shake a man's hand, look him in the eye if you've made an error, you apologize and you try to work it through, and then you crack on. But yeah, thanks a lot for tuning in. Next episode coming soon.
Cheers. Well,
Love that.